What's going on, everybody? King of Dragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the Mcfarlane Toys Mortal Kombat series, Johnny Cage, the Hollywood hunk. And so here we have Johnny Cage posing out of the packaging. Before we take a look at the figure, let's actually take a look at what he comes with. Johnny Cage does come with 3 accessories. He does come with his sunglasses, which look really good, and they do loop around his ears, so that's a really nice touch. We do get an award for Johnny Cage. It is the Best Actor award, which looks really nice, and he holds that perfectly. And then we also do get a little Johnny Cage action figure, so we can have an action figure of Johnny Cage holding an action figure of Johnny Cage, and that is just that's too rich. I love it. Other than that, Johnny Cage here doesn't come with anything else. I don't know what more you would want to include. Maybe a shadow ball effect, because he is lacking in the effects department, but overall, that's all he comes with. So let's actually get into where this figure actually shines, and that's his detail and his articulation. And so here we have a closer look at Johnny Cage, and Mcfarlane has done a really good job on this face sculpt. I do like the way it came out, although I don't know, there's something about it that it's lacking some detail. Maybe a little more color in the face would make it look less plasticky. Because as it stands, he has that G.I. Joe feeling face, and I think it's getting to the point where we're a little bit spoiled by all the face printing technology, but it does look good, and it is a cocky, smirking figure, so I do like that. It does look like Johnny Cage. I do appreciate the fact that the hair is a separate piece. It's not just one sculpt. It's actually his head, and then his hair is glued over top of that. And the hair is done really well. You do get a little bit of gap between the hair and the ears back here, but that's just so that the sunglasses do loop around the ears. So the face on Johnny Cage is pretty good. Again, we're a little bit spoiled by all the face printing technology, so I think I can let this one slide. Now, let's actually take a look at his jacket first, because oh my goodness, there is so much detail on this jacket. Just look at those line work. That line work in the jacket, it's unbelievable. That is something I did not expect Mcfarlane to do. It just looks so nice, and the way it reflects the light, ooh, it's just a beautiful sculpt. I love the way his jacket came out. You see all this nice line work. We have it does look like 2 different materials that it's made out of, so that's a really nice touch. We do have this purple spot right on both sides, divided by this white line. The zipper is nicely done. You can see it's even sculpted on, so that's something you really wouldn't expect out of a toy company to do. We do have some smoother parts for his jacket up here. They are a green color, and again, does have a different texture than his main jacket. On the back, we do have a Johnny Cage emblem, probably from his Ninja Mime days. You can see that it has the shades, the headband, the hair, and it just looks really good. And I do like the fact that it's not tempoed on, it's actually sculpted. That's something you wouldn't expect. Now, the only painted part is the moon in the back, so that's a little bit unfortunate, but everything else about that, that's raised detail. So really good job by Mcfarlane there. And then, of course, the JC for Johnny Cage is sculpted on. It's not just painted. Looks like a Letterman style JC. Now, having a look at the torso of the figure, he does have the Johnny tattoo going across his chest, and I do like the fact it is a little bit faded. Tattoos fade over time, and if you get a tattoo with your name on your chest, you are a brave person, my friend. I think you are really brave. Again, we have some line work going down his jacket right here. He is wearing it at 3/4. Now, one thing I do want to point out is that when you bend his elbow, it creates this really sharp point. There's no reason why that point should be so sharp. I've actually poked myself on that several times, so do be aware of the way his arm is sculpted. They sculpted that sharp point on the bend of the elbow, so that's a little bit unfortunate. Having a look at the wrist tape on this figure, I think that's where this figure does lack. They added some pink here, which I'm guessing is supposed to simulate blood, but it just looks like he spilled Kool-Aid on his wraps, and I don't know. They should have gone with a darker red for that because, again, it just looks like he spilled Kool-Aid on his wrap. So, got to take points off there. Having a look at the rest of his costume, you can see he does have the cage belt. Again, he's really egotistical, so there is that. A nice little detail is you can see the little clip right here where the cage belt buckle, belt loop, whatever it is attached to his main fighting gear. So that's a really good detail that I appreciate that Mcfarlane did. Going down to his pants here. Again, really loving the detail work here on his pants. He has so much detail going through it. Unfortunately, these lines are just painted. They're not actually sculpted on. But the pants, his pants are sculpted like to the brim. There's so much detail running down his pants. And then you do go down here to where his boots are. He has some wraps right here, which you can see connect his shin guards. So overall, they did do a fairly good job differentiating his pants from his shin guards. And his shin guards are done really well too. They are done... Are they separate pieces? Yeah, his shin guards are separate pieces. So his shin guards are actually molded in blue. So really do like that. And then we go on to his shoes. These sneakers look really good. I do like the fact that we get some green, some purple, some blue, just to tie everything together. Like, everything on Johnny Cage looks good. The shoes even look really nice, so that's one little detail I am glad that looks really good on him. They could have just easily skipped out on the shoes, but the shoes have a nice textured detail to them. So overall, Johnny Cage here is a really nice figure, and they sculpted him wonderfully. There's so much to love about this figure. So let's get him compared to other figures you have in your collection before we move on to his articulation. And so here we have Johnny Cage posed next to a Marvel Legends Cyclops and a DC Multiverse Superman. Here we have Johnny Cage posed next to a WWE Elite Scale figure and a Mezco 112 Collective Popeye the Sailor Man. Here we have Johnny Cage posed next to a Lightning Collection White Ranger and a Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. Here we have Johnny Cage posed next to a Storm Collectibles Mortal Kombat 2 Style Ninja and a Storm Collectibles Mortal Kombat 3 Style Ninja. And finally, here we have the Mcfarlane Johnny Cage posed next to the rest of the Mcfarlane Mortal Kombat 11 figures. So with the comparisons out of the way, let's actually move on to his articulation, and I think his articulation works the best from any of the Mcfarlane Mortal Kombat figures because there's nothing hindering anything. Let's run through it. He does have a ball joint in the head, which does go back to about that far. He does look down to about that far, does turn his head left and right, as well as rotates left and right, no problem. He does have a secondary ball joint down here in the neck, so he can look down further. Can look up even higher, and the jacket doesn't get in the way because it's made in this really soft material. I do like that. Moving on to his shoulders, we do have a ball socket going into his torso, so that does move back and forth, does go up and down, so really good range of movement right there just on his shoulders. You can see it has a lot of range, and I do like that. Does go all the way around, and again, not at all hindered by his jacket because it is a soft piece of rubber, and I really do like how soft that is. Does go out to the side, no problem. We do have a swivel up in the bicep. It is a little bit awkward of a cut just because it's not a true sleeveless look, but it does its job. We do have a double bend in the elbow, giving us more than 90 degrees, so I do like that. We do have the import style ball hinge in the wrist, so it does move up and down. We can turn that to have in and out movement, and of course his hand does rotate on that joint. We do have a ball joint right here in his torso, which does go back about that far, leans forward a little bit. We do have some nice side-to-side movement and some rotation right here. We do have a secondary ball joint down here in the lower torso, so he can lean back about that far. He can lean forward about that far, and it does work really nicely. Does lean to the side very well, leans to the other side just as well, so really good range of movement there, and of course it does rotate. We do have his legs, which do go forward to about 90 degrees. I do like that this is a softer crotch piece. 90 degree movement there. Does go back only to about there. We do have some slight thigh swivel, but the way it's sculpted, it does butt up against the sculpt, so that's a little bit unfortunate. We do have some really impressive double jointed knees, which go up higher than all the other figures, which I do like that. Unfortunately, because of the way his pants are sculpted, we lose that rotation right here in the knee. He does rotate at the foot, no problem. Does have a hinge in the ankle, which does go back and forward. Rotation from the peg connecting the foot, so we do get some rocker ankle. And then, of course, we do get toe hinge, but it's not a great toe hinge. As you can see, it goes straight, and then it only goes up that much. So not the best toe hinge we have ever seen. So overall, Johnny Cage here is an outstanding figure and shows just what Mcfarlane is capable. I really want to see what they do with the Liu Kang. Hopefully they get around to making Liu Kang, because just imagining it with this kind of articulation, I would fall in love with it. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get him posed for my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. And so here we have Johnny Cage posed for my final thoughts, and overall Mcfarlane has done an amazing job with this figure. The amount of detail that went into him is astonishing. The fact that every piece of him is really sculpted wonderfully and the paint apps are really nice. I think this is a must-have figure for any Mortal Kombat collector. Now, if I have one complaint about this figure, the hands. I really wish Mcfarlane would start adding alternate hands, because we do need fists for the Mortal Kombat characters. It's no good if they can't do fists. Johnny Cage here, of course, uses the shadow kick, so that's perfectly fine. But I would have loved to see some alternate fists, just so we can get some good punches in, especially with the nut punch. If you are looking for this Johnny Cage figure, I do recommend you check out your local comic book stores or your local GameStops. I was fortunate enough to pick up my Johnny Cage from my local comic book store, and he will run you about $25, which is pretty standard for the Mortal Kombat figures. And seeing as how Mcfarlane is charging $20 to $25 per figure, I think it's a really good deal. If you can find this Johnny Cage, I really do recommend you add him to your collection. If you're a fan of this design, need a Johnny Cage in your collection, or just think he's a really nice figure, you're going to want to have him in your collection. With that being said, guys, I'm KingofDragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Go ahead and check out all my other action figure reviews, as well as all my other Mortal Kombat and Mcfarlane videos. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you would like to see me review, let me know down in the comments, and if it's in my collection, I'll definitely have a look at it. While you're at it, don't forget to check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos. And as always, ring that bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Be sure to hit the notifications for all so you never miss a beat. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.